Welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm Sam, your host, and today we have got a fantastic episode lined up for you. Because today, let me tell you that we are diving into a topic that no visa applicant ever wants to deal with. That is the most scariest one, that is 221G. And that's why today our topic is what is a 221G visa refusal? An overview of the process. But before we get into an amazing session and bring on our amazing guests, let's cover an important disclaimer. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not a legal advice. So, use of information is at your own risk. Once again, guys, welcome back to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, and we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. So do join us from any of these platforms and also drop your questions so that we can help you in navigating these complexities. So now I would like to welcome our today's guest who is a leading immigration attorney and an expert in US immigration policies, attorney Uma Mantravadi. Welcome Uma and thank you so much for joining us today again. We are so glad to have you with us today and I'm sure we are going to have a fruitful session.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Sam, for another exciting session with Immigration Jobs Talk Show.
Of course. Thank you so much, Uma. All right. So, as you know, Uma, that today we have got a very different topic. I would say a very anxious and fearful topic that applicants never wants to deal with. That is visa refusal. So,
Absolutely.
Uma, before jumping into our question, I would just like to know that you also have seen so many people getting 221G, right?
Absolutely.
So, I just,
Absolutely. Every week, every month, this
oh
is a constant. It's not like, we don't expect 221Gs. Some cases we don't. Some cases we have
right.
a hunch that we can expect a 221G.
Well, I think that is something very important. So, why don't we begin our session by knowing that how people react when they have that slip in their hand? I mean, obviously, I know that it's a kind of a roller coaster of emotions. So, what's the most common reaction you see? Is it anger, tear, or just pure disbelief? And what's it?
I'm going to go through it, but before we get to the emotional aspect of the 221G, I want to talk about what is a 221G
Sure, please go ahead. That would be
denial
better.
or a refusal, or finding, it's called a finding of ineligibility. Well, basically, a 221G visa refusal or denial doesn't mean it's a final decision.
Right.
It's just a temporary hold or a refusal of the visa because the consular officer feels that either they don't have sufficient information or documentation, or there is some other process to be completed before they can approve this visa.
Hmm.
So most people jump to the conclusion when they get a 221G that they've been denied a final denial, whereas it is not a final denial. It's only a temporary refusal or a visa that is on hold. And again, it's color coded. We'll go to that as we proceed, what each color coding can mean. But I just wanted to give the listeners, our viewers, an overview of what is a 221G visa refusal or a denial or a finding of ineligibility.
Absolutely, of course. We should know that, of course, it's not a flat out rejection. It's more of a hold your horses moment kind of thing. So, Uma, now can we talk about the reactions if you would like to say? I mean, how do your clients react to it? Are they so hyper, so tensed? And how do you handle them?
They get hyper for everything.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes if I can give you examples of getting hyper. If you don't get a
Sure.
receipt in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they get hyper.
Oh, right.
If they get an RFE, they get hyper. Get a 221G, they get hyper. If they get a 214B, which is a final refusal of the person, they go crazy. So the reactions are there all the time, everywhere. whether it's a consular visa temporary hold or a refusal or a denial, or the USCIS issuing an RFE, and subsequent to the response of the RFE, also sometimes you can get a denial, either because your employer, if it's an H-1B, your employer has not sufficiently responded to it. They've not given all the documents. They may think they did, but they've not probably addressed all the questions. So if that happens, so you see people go crazy. Absolutely.
Of course, because that is the thing that most of the people feel. And I think when they come to your office, you say that breathe, we have got this. It's
Yes.
okay. All right. You
And
have
which
to.
is why you come to an attorney. We've been handling these, and I've been handling this for I would say 30 years.
Oh, wow.
You know, they were called different names before. They were not called 221G in the beginning. They've come
Oh,
up more with specifics. They never used to say it's a 221G, but they would say we cannot issue a visa at this time. We will let you know. But now they've become more specific in saying the refusal is based on this, or it's a temporary denial or
right.
ineligibility. So they're coming up with more specific answers so that you understand what is happening. And not
Of course.
everybody understands the law either. So, which is why people panic, people get confused, people are exasperated. So, the best way is reach out to an attorney. So, once you get this, so they can understand what is happening.
Yeah, I'm sure we are definitely going to it. Uma, I think there's some issue regarding the camera. I think your camera has turned off. So could you please
Uh,
turn on?
I have not turned off anything.
I think there might be some issue. All right, we can see you right
All right.
now. That's great. That's great. Okay, all right. So let's move ahead. As you said about the people, how they feel, and how do you also make them calm. So let's begin our today's topic with our first question that I would like to know, Ma. That we have heard about different colored slips that are issued with 221G refusals.
Right.
Example: pink, blue, white, yellow, green. So can you please
Right.
explain what each color signifies and how do they impact the processing timeline?
Sure. First of all, your first question, what is a 221G
Right.
refusal? As I mentioned right in the beginning, a 221G is only a temporary refusal of the visa or a temporary hold of the refusal of the visa or a temporary ineligibility of the visa, whatever visa category that they are seeking, be it an H1, B2, L1, F1, H4, L2, it can be anything, any kind of visa. And color coding, I can go through that.
Yeah.
Blue slip is given when they want additional documentation. Basically, the consular officer feels, let's say they go for an H1 interview and they haven't given the end client letter, or they're not satisfied with the MSA, or they're not satisfied with the end client letter that you've submitted. Somehow they're not convinced, then they would ask you for additional documentation. And a pink slip is saying the consulate requires further action and further administrative processing. And this is generally issued, this pink slip is issued when a consular officer is doubtful, let's say, about a current employer or a work related information. If they feel that, somehow the current employer is not going to be employing this person, maybe the documentation that they given um, somewhere there's a red flag going off by saying it could be fraudulent. Something has triggered them to give that pink slip. Yellow slip means that the consular office is going to review all the submitted documentation, both from the employer and employee. They need more time to go through the documentation. They've not had sufficient time to go through it. So they need more time, which is why they're saying, give us more time. We're not
Hmm.
denying it. We're just putting it on a temporary hold and we'll come back to you. And a white slip means that the consular officer is not ready to give this visa because it could be based on reasons. The security background checks have not come back and it's not clear, so they need to go back to Washington to get back more clearances.
All right. So I would say that now our viewers have got a complete answer of what these color slips mean. And thank you so much, Uma, for your detailed answer.
Not at all.
Uh,
And let me
yeah.
continue one more
Oh,
point on the 221. 221 can be either, the white slip can either be a security clearance, or sometimes it can also say, we've got all your documents. We need a more time to review whatever you've given. We're not satisfied. We're going to go through it and come back to you.
all right. All right. Okay. Thank you so much for adding that point up. That's also very important. So, Uma, I would like to ask that how long does 221G process typically take? And does it vary by case or country?
Absolutely. I wish they would give us time frames. In fact, when they give the slip to the applicant, they don't put any time frames because they don't know how long it's going to take.
Right.
And it may take 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. It all depends on each case by case.
Right.
I have a lot of employers who come to me when they get to 21Gs for their employees and reach out to me. And then I write a letter to the consulate, pushing them to find out, hey, we've given you the documents as per the blue slip or the pink slip or the yellow slip or the white slip, whatever slip was received. We are providing information. If you need additional information, let us know and we'll be glad to provide more. So, as an attorney, I do reach out to them.
Wow. That's great. And all right, till now, so far, so good. So I would like to move ahead with the next question, Uma. That can applicants reapply for the same visa while their 221G case is pending?
No, definitely not. I would not advise them to do that. I would, if they want to reapply, I would tell them to withdraw that application and then reapply. If they feel, hey, last time I didn't give everything in one go, I didn't have the documents, they're probably right in giving me a 221G, but I don't want to wait so long. So they can withdraw that application and then reapply.
Right.
You
That
can't
makes
have both of them going. It's like saying you can't have the cake and eat it too.
Of course, but most of the people, those, I mean, they get so much intense that they reapply for the visa during that time. And
Well, they're not going to have both of them. You can't have two applications
that
for the
even make
same
the
thing.
situation worse.
Correct. I wouldn't do that. I would definitely advise withdraw if you feel that, yes, in your heart and your mind, you're convinced that somehow at that time you didn't have all the documentation. It can happen. And now I have everything. I think I have more than what they're asking for, even in the 221G blue, white, yellow, pink slip. And, now I'm more prepared. And so let me withdraw this, refile it. Maybe they'll approve it in shorter
Right.
time.
Of course, that would be a very good option and safe
Like,
option, I would like to say.
like, I'll give an example. If you're filing for an H1 and you get
Yeah.
an RFE, you can't file another H1 while the RFE is still there, while the case is still going on.
Right, right.
So,
I think now our viewers got a very clear understanding by understanding the examples that you provided. So thank you so much, Uma, for those insightful
most welcome.
answers. All right. Okay, so Uma, what happens if the US embassy or consulate doesn't respond after several months of administrative processing?
I would also write a letter to the State Department because the State Department governs the the US consulate or embassy. Or if it's an employment based, your employer can reach a congressman, senator, saying we've done everything. We've also sent emails, we've sent letters. We've not gotten back anything. So, maybe they can nudge. They cannot guarantee an approval, not even a congressman, not even a senator. All they can do is send a letter or an email, whatever their means of communication is, to get back feedback from the consulate.
All right.
And sometimes, not all the time, you push or rock the boat too much, you may
Right.
get adverse results.
Wow.
I'm sure everybody's heard the saying, right? You push a cat to the corner. What is it
Sure.
going to do? It's going to pounce on you. I'm not
Right.
saying that's what the consulate does, but sometimes it can lead to adverse situations because no one likes to be pushed and pushed. So don't rock the boat too much. I understand the frustrations, I understand the concerns, I understand, your uh,
Problem.
excitement, problems, whatever you have, the feelings, exasperations. You don't want to be waiting. Your school has started. I don't want to lose 1 year. I've already lost 6 months, or I've lost 1 year of my job. I lost money. I fully understand that. But if you can, um, you know, resolve to some alternatives in the meantime, and then come back to this, you can. But like I said, if it's an employment based, for example, if it's an H1 or an L1 and your employer feels that they are losing thousands and thousands of dollars for the lack of this employee not joining, they may lose that project. The project is worth 100,000, $300,000, or they may even lose that vendor. Let's say the employer has IBM as their vendor. They were supposed to bring this employee from wherever to place them in that position. And IBM is saying, you know what, I don't trust you guys. I'm never going to give you any more projects. If they get such severe threats, they can definitely reach out and say, not only I'm going to lose this project, but I'm going to lose a project with IBM for the rest of our business. We're going to be blacklisted. Has it happened? Yes, it has with some of my clients. And then we actually use that letter, sent it to the consulate saying, this is
Oh,
not coming from us, this is coming from the end client.
yeah, of course. Oh my God.
They don't believe anything we say unless you give proof to them.
Yeah, that's so true and
And can it happen? Of course.
so
Because
stressed.
they
I
may
would.
feel like, you know what, I don't trust company A. They said they'll bring an employee. Now I don't have, that project is stuck, or I had to hire somebody else, and that somebody else is not as good, and I'm losing lots of money. I don't trust company A. I'm done with you guys.
Oh my God.
So it can happen. So that is a situation. Yes, give that to a congressman, write a letter to the consulate or use an attorney, definitely. And, probably you'll get better results.
Of course, of course. They suffer so much, and that's where you come in. I hope you definitely guide them and they get through all their emotional whirlwind and get a good solution, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
It's like me going to a doctor when I'm not feeling good.
Oh
The
God.
doctor is going to tell me what is wrong with me, how to resolve it, what medication, and if I go to Walgreens and then just take something, I may not nip it in the bud. I may superficially correct it, but down there, my problem is still there because I'm
Of
not a doctor.
course. Right. Well, that's really helpful. I hope so that our viewers are getting so much to know today. And also with that, guys, I would like to say that we know that most of you are actually been through all these situations, and that's why during this episode we are going to take few questions from our Facebook group where our applicants have shared their personal experiences and also some queries and problems about 221G. So stick around for that. I'm sure it's definitely going to be very insightful. And now, Uma, we are going to look for our Facebook questions. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
All right. So, Uma, actually, this is a group, where we get so many questions regarding not only regarding 221G, but also about everything, every immigration query. So, we would like to pick up the first question that you can see also. And it's written that, hello all, I need some advice as I consider traveling to India in Q1 or Q2 2025. Here's my situation that during F1 visa, June 2009 visa interview, 221G slip issued, no documents requested. Then clearance received and visa approved after 2 weeks. The second time, what happened? H1 visa, July 2013 visa interview, 221G slipped issue, and no documents requested. And then again, clearance received and visa approved after 10 weeks. And during third time, what happened? That 2013 September to present, that is 2024, have not traveled outside of USA. I'm currently working for my fourth employer now, considering travel to India in early 2025. So, Uma, let's go one by one. Can you please explain what are my risks? Can you answer this?
Well, I don't know what risks can be there because you've had two 221Gs in the past, but they've approved. So it looks like there is some kind of a security clearance issue from what I can, ascertain. I don't have all the facts here. So I don't think, but doesn't mean each time it's only going to be only a security clearance issue. Now, since this individual has worked with four different employers or 3 to 4 different employers, they can ask all the questions regarding the first employer, second employer, third employer, all the documents. And if they are satisfied, you should be fine.
Of course, because Uma, most of the people think that if once or twice their visa got rejected or they got 221G, then third time also it's difficult for them to get clear approval. So, is that some possibility that we
We
can
know
have?
that it could be a possibility, but from what I can see, both the times it looked more like a security clearance issue. But I'm not saying that can happen again now. It could be security, it could be H1B documents. They can ask anything, and they may not even ask for to give a 221G. Maybe they're satisfied with everything. It all depends on her document or his document and the consular officer.
Definitely. See, that's what this person is asking. That has anyone experienced 221Gs before and got it the third time again?
There can be third time, there can be fourth time, there can be 10th time. It can happen.
But that doesn't mean that your visa is getting to disapprove.
I mean, he or she is put that they got it in 2 weeks and 10 weeks.
All right, yeah. And Uma, he's also asking that how long of a wait time should I expect? I mean, should he expect?
No idea. Like I said, it could be 2 weeks, 10 weeks, 15 weeks. We
Yeah.
don't know that. It all depends. We hope they don't get it to 21G, but we don't know the time.
All right. Okay. So thank you, Tabriz. I hope you got your answer and keep on asking questions. And like here only, we'll definitely going to answer that. Uma, so we got another question that today was my interview at Karachi consulate. My H1B visa was refused due to following. What's next? So actually, these are the documents that has been requested. Firstly, the resume, then list of any publications that you have written or co-written, then list of personal or professional references from your home country, then LOR from US, uh, letters of support from your financial sponsor, and detailed description of the work. I need some guidance. The immigration attorney sent me I 129 but has SSN and net income or gross income fields were hidden under black marker. So, Uma, I think this paper you can also see it well. This was the paper that the person received.
I won't be able to answer because this has got to do with the employer. And
Mm-hmm.
if the employer is not providing all the documentation, then he's going to have an issue.
All right. So, Uma,
You know,
we can
he
see that
has
you.
to,
Yeah.
the employer has to provide, and if the employer doesn't want to provide him, maybe the employer can go to and send it directly to the consulate if they feel they don't want to share the income documentation to the employee. But, that's between the employer and the attorney. I cannot, it's not a refusal, they're asking for more documentation.
All right.
And he has to provide the documentation requested, whatever I'm not going into the details.
Okay. So,
But if
Uma,
this individual needs help, he can reach out to me. I'll be glad to help. But also, at the same token, the employer has to cooperate to give those documents.
yeah, definitely. That has to be, I think, until and unless that won't be possible, there won't be any visa clearance kind of thing.
Sure.
So,
If not,
Uma,
they
we
can reach out to me, and
oh,
please
sure,
give out my number so that
definitely,
in a number or email, whatever is convenient, since he is in Pakistan.
definitely,
Definitely they can reach out via email to me.
of course. I would love to read out your contact details, Uma. That would be great. So, again, I would like to say that, guys, if you are navigating any problem or having any kind of issue, then it would be better and it would be best to reach out to one of the most experienced immigration attorney in the field of immigration, Uma Mantravadi. Please contact her on the given number, that is 713-787-5297, and do email her on uma@mantralaw.com and visit her website www.mantralaw.com. So I think this would be a great thing that people out there could know that they can reach out to you, Uma, and you're definitely going to handle the case personally and very well.
Absolutely.
So, Uma, I would like to ask that here one word is mentioned, that is unredacted I 129. Can you please go through it once?
What do you mean? What do I go through?
Can you please tell what is this unredacted I 129 so that our viewers get to know
Meaning
what is this
it
actually?
cannot be redacted, meaning it cannot be blacked out.
All right, okay.
Redacted means you're covering something.
Okay, it seems that you're hiding something on the other. The whole information is not on the page.
The employer is redacting information. So they're
Very
not going to accept redacted information.
okay. All right. Thank you so much, Uma, for your answer. Now, we would like to shift our question to another candidate that we have received. I have accepted a different offer, but the new company will be applying for the H1B only a week from now. The new company wants me to join in 2 weeks, so I'm planning to join on H1B receipt notice. In order to give the current company at least 2 weeks' notice, I'm going to give my resignation tomorrow. Am I taking too many risks? What can you say in this, Uma?
I don't know. That's up to you as an individual. If you feel comfortable that the new employer is going to go forward with the H1 and you're comfortable joining them, that's something only you can make the decision. I cannot tell you who to join and who not to join. This is a very, very personal thing. Now, can you
All right.
work on a H1B, receipt notice? Yes, the answer is yes. But whether to move to a one employer, employer B or C or D, that's a very personal choice. I can't answer that.
All right. Okay. So let's move ahead with the next question that we have received. My H1B petition was approved in mid August 2024. My employer informed me this week that I have been laid off and my last working day would be October 31st, 2024. Given this job market, there are very few companies who are willing to do H1B transfers. I have been applying like crazy but getting auto rejected. I'm suspecting the reason is because I select yes for do you need sponsorship now or in the future question. What if I'm unable to get a job in 60 days post my last date? That is, since after November, the hiring will stop due to holiday season. So, yeah, anyone has been in the same situation, or what can you say in this, Uma?
Thousands have been in this situation, thousands and thousands. Not
Yeah.
today, for the last, I don't know, 60 days rule came about now. When there was no 60 days, also people were facing this situation. When they were laid off by an employer, they had to jump in to either an F1 or a B2, whatever they want to do. They can move into another visa status. Let's say, for example, if the individual is on an H1 but has a spouse who's also got an H1, then they can go to an H4. So it depends on that situation, what they can jump into, whether it'll be an H4, whether it'll be an B2, whether it'll be an F1. So it all depends if this individual is ready to move to another visa category. And if they don't want to do that, they don't want to spend money going to school, they don't want to be here, then the option is go back to your home country and wait for another employer to file for your H1 whenever that happens.
Okay. So I think till now we have got so many in our things. Now I would like to move our queries with our viewers that they have also asked so many questions from us. So I would like to take up first question that we have received from Poonam. So Poonam is asking that can you please explain what is the difference between 221I and 221G, or is it same? I got my visa B1 B2 back in 2022, back in July 2023. I went to embassy for my son's interview B1 B2 and there's the VO put a stamp on my visa with cancellation without prejudice. I wrote to embassy later on and they responded that it has been revoked under section 221I Immigration and Nationality Act. Kindly explain what's the difference.
Well, 221G is, as I said, a temporary hold. 221I is saying for whatever reasons, whatever they have investigated on this individual, they found that she now does not qualify to continue with the B1, B2, or F1 or H1, whatever visa they have. Something has triggered them to go ahead and revoke, meaning they're not going to give her the visa anymore. I'll have to look at all her documents. I don't know what happened. I'll have to talk to her to get the history. Something has triggered, something major has triggered for them to cancel the 5 year, 10-year B1, B2 visa. This is something serious.
All right. Thank
So
you,
this
Poonam. Thank
individual has to reach out to me, send an email with all the documentation. And of course, I'll have to talk to her in confidentiality as to what happened. There is something that has happened, which is why it has triggered. Let me give you an example, Sam. We
Yeah,
talked about this example, I think, a few weeks ago, whenever we did one of the episodes. And I had a client who came here on a student visa. She got the student visa. She came to the United States. She was to join University A, which was, I think, in Maryland. And for some reason, the first week she came, she transferred from University A to University B.
oh,
Okay. And she started going to school to University B. And University B was, let's say, in Washington, D.C., but she was living in New Jersey, in a city in New Jersey. So she was not even living in the city of where University B was, where she requested a transfer. Okay.
mhm.
She finished almost 2 semesters of her school at University B. and she traveled back home for the holidays. As she was coming back at the airport, she went through all the questions why she transferred from A to B in the first week, and then why she was not living in the city where the school was. So they canceled her F1 with a prejudice, with prejudice, and
Right.
sent her back. And now we are having to file a waiver because we found out it was not just one reason, but there were several other reasons. And I'm not going to discuss that here. But, only when we talk, we get this information.
Right.
And then we know the real reasons what happened.
Of course.
What I'm seeing here is a superficial reason, but there's something more underlying.
That's true. That's completely true. All right. So thank you, Poonam. Thank you for your question and do participate in today's session. All right. Next we have Hakeem that we have received from YouTube. So Hakeem is asking, "Hello, my H-1B visa application is on administrative processing. Can I join my spouse for her visa interview as an H-4 dependent? Wouldn't it affect my wife's chances of getting the visa approval?" Yeah.
If you don't have an H1, she's not going to get an H4. And they won't let you join her for the interview. It's her interview. So since yours is pending administrative processing, they will not issue a visa for her. Maybe they'll put her into a 221G processing too.
All right. Okay. So thank you, Hakeem. Thank you for your participation, and do let us know from where you are watching our session. We would love to know that, and thank you so much again for participating. Okay, Uma. Next up, we have Amarjeet Singh, and we got this from YouTube. He's asking that I had L1B visa interview this week. Interviewer gave me a white slip saying rejected visa under 221G. She didn't mark any documents to submit in that slip, mentioned not closely approval on I-129s. So do you think that I still have a chance to make it?
Possibly, sometimes, like I said, the white slip can be similar to a blue slip, asking for additional documentation, or they are still reviewing the documentation, or they may come back and ask for more documentation.
Yeah.
So maybe the employer should reach out to the US consulate and find out what's going on, or the employer's attorney. So I'm not sure if this person's attorney has reached out to the consulate.
All right. All right, I think now, Amarjeet, you got your answer. In case if you still have any doubt or query, then please feel free to contact attorney Uma Mantravadi on her given number, that is 713-787-5297, and visit her website www.mantralaw.com, and you can also email her on uma@mantralaw.com. So now I would like to say that till now we have covered a good part of today's topic. And guys, don't go back anywhere. We'll be just right back in a minute. So just keep watching Immigration and Jobs Talk Show, and we'll be right back. Thank you. All right, welcome back to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm Sam, your host, and today we are joined by attorney Uma Mantravadi. And the topic for our discussion is what is a 221G visa refusal, an overview of the process. And so far, we have covered a good portion of today's topic, and the session has been very informative and insightful. So, guys, let's see what most of our viewers are having doubts and questions, and we are going to definitely take all them up. So, let's move ahead with our next viewer's question that we have received from Ashwarya. All right, so Ashwarya is actually asking, my immigration visa is presently undergoing administrative processing at the London Embassy. As my UK visa was nearing expiration in May, I secured a job in Saudi Arabia and relocated here. So I'm curious whether during the administrative processing under 221G, it is possible to request a transfer of my case to another country. I would greatly appreciate your response.
Yeah, you can. You can write a letter to the consulate saying you've permanently moved there. Now, if your job is only temporarily, they're not going to keep moving, you know, to different countries. So you have to be clear whether you're going to be there for a few years doing this job. And it's an immigrant visa, it's not a non-immigrant visa. So possibly you can reach out to the National Visa Center to notify them of the change of address.
All right. All right. Thank you, Shwarya. Thank you for your participation. And we have so many viewers lined up for today's session. And all right, next up, we are going to take for Hakeem. So let's see what Hakeem is asking. He's asking that, hi, I had my H1B visa interview in January 2024 and I was placed under AP. The consulate reached out to request for some documents which I provided. Do I still stand a chance to get the visa?
Possibly, I don't know what documents were requested and what documents were provided. That is the most important thing. So, since I am not privy to that, I don't have access to that. I don't know whether you do or not. But if you feel that you have and your attorney has submitted all the documents, then I think you should be good to go.
All right. So I would say that Hakeem, it would be good, if you can also tell us that what are the documents that are required, so that Uma can also answer your question and your query in a
I
better
would
way.
prefer he sends it to me directly rather than here. I don't want him to share his confidential information here. Yeah.
Of course, definitely, we are going to inform Hakeem about Uma's contact detail. That it would be better and it would be great, if you could directly contact her and one-on-one conversation you'll have. So anyhow, it will be a better thing. So next up, we are going to take Ailey Panda, and she's asking that during my interview, I got approved for my F1 visa. However, I got the 221G, and the instructions were that I need to send my passport for via courier. Please guide me what I have to do now.
Follow the instructions, whatever you've got, because it's confusing for me if I hear that it's approved and you got a 221G yellow slip, which means that they are still reviewing documents, but they're asking for more documents. So that is
Right.
kind of confusing. So whatever the instructions are, please follow that.
Okay. So I think till now we have got good questions from YouTube and different platforms. And now I would like to again shed light on our Facebook group because there we have been, getting pinging up so many times about the questions that we would like to ask. So, Uma, I would like to ask that here we have received one question from our participant that how many working days does it take for stamped passport to be issued? I had my interview on Friday 13 September at Hyderabad, but PIC is in Mumbai. Also, how do we track it is using I-797 number or DS-160 application number?
You'll have to go by the tracking number that is given by the consulate. I-797 is just a notice of receipt or a notice of approval. I don't think you can go by that.
All right. So, Uma, there is one comment that we received that is written usually 4 to 5 business days. Is this right?
I don't know how this person is answering that.
All right. Okay,
You know,
so we'll
they've got
definitely
to,
look.
I would go by whatever tracking number they've given to track.
Okay, all right. So let's move ahead with our next question that we have received regarding 221G. So, guys, we have received so many questions, but for today's session, particularly, we are picking up 221G. So, my next up, we have my H1B visa is currently under 221G administrative processing, and it has been 9 months since the status was marked as refused. I submitted all the required documents on the day of the interview. The reason for the administrative processing is that my employer relocated the office, but the new location is less than 10 miles away from the previous one. I have provided the new office registration documents as furnished by the employer. So the queries are that should I still have hope for this case? Should I still transfer my H1B petition to a different employer? Or should I consider applying for a new H1B? So, Uma, how?
I don't know. I mean, it all depends what documentation was submitted. And again, if the employer's attorney can reach out to the consulate, if they have provided, if they have filed an amended LCA or an amended petition, they've done it or not, even if it's in the same
Yeah.
MSA, sometimes we recommend doing an amended LCA at least. And if they have, then you can wait. But if you're not too confident what the employer has done or not done, then yeah, go to a new employer, let them file an H1 and go for a new interview.
All right. All right. Okay. So thank you so much, Uma, for your answer. And let's pick up our next view's question. So next up we have that last year in September 2023, I received 221G white slip for administrative check after interview in Chennai. Now it will be almost 1 year and there is no update. After checking the status of my application, last updated date is changed to 23rd August but with same old status. So question here is that after completion of 1 year, will my application be valid or it will be automatically changed to denied status?
There is nothing that is automatic. If they are going to deny, then they will say they denied and possibly give you reasons for the denial. Or they're still reviewing. Your attorney for the employer can reach out to the consulate to see, what is going on.
Yeah,
It's always good when it's an employment base that the employer or the employer's attorney reach out to the consulate.
definitely, definitely. I'm sure our viewers are seeing to it and getting to know what you are definitely guiding them. Okay, so next let's pick up another question that we received. That is, after 221G administrative processing, embassy asked for passport back. After administrative processing, embassy emailed asking for passport. Is it a positive sign? And if so, when can I expect approval?
I don't know
And
when you can expect the approval, but yeah, it could be a positive sign, definitely, if they're asking for the passport. That means they have reviewed, they're happy, or they're content with everything, and they're ready to issue, but they have not mentioned how long they'll take to issue the visa stamping. I
of
would
course,
just be patient and wait.
of course. Well, that's a good news that if it is, possible. And Uma, if you don't mind, can I also read the email that this person has received?
No, I don't think it would be necessary, Sam, because
Yeah,
basically they've
sure.
given the gist of it, so we don't need to go through the whole thing.
No worries, no worries. All right, so at least we understood the gist of it, yes, as you mentioned. And
Right.
now I would like to shift again to my viewers' question from our different group that we have received. So let's pick up Kiran's question. Hello, Kiran, and welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. So, Kiran is asking that, hi, Uma, I stuck in administrative processing for my H1B and I got 221G yellow paper. Now it's about 17 months and case status is still reduced. Just a second. Sorry, case status is still refused so far three times. Oh my god. Case last update. Date is changed. So I don't know how much more waiting time will be there. What can you say in this, Uma?
Again, they've got a yellow slip means they are reviewing both the employer and employee documents, and something is not satisfactory to them. So the employer needs to reach out to the US consulate to see, why isn't the employer reaching out? Why isn't the employer sending a letter saying, hey, I need this employee?
Right, right,
And if they don't see interest from the employer, sometimes they can even wonder if this employee really has a job.
right.
So these are things that can still give a red flag.
Yeah, definitely. Then I would suggest that, Kiran, it would be
Please
great.
ask your employer to reach out through their
Definitely,
attorney.
definitely. I was about to suggest that only to Kiran that, it would be great if you could reach out to Uma and contact her personally for your case. I'm sure that she's definitely going to help you out. And any problem, any query that still you have, Kiran, it would be great, if you could also reach out to us and tell your queries on the chat section also. So let me read out Uma's contact details for you. It's 713-787-5297. You can also email her on uma@mantralaw.com and visit our website www.mantralaw.com. So thank you so much, Kiran, for your participation, and it was really good having you today. So let's move ahead with the next question, Uma, that I would like to ask. That there are so many reasons that people receive 221G visa refusal notice. So can you mention two or three the most important reason that people should be aware about it?
The most common reason is lack of documentation to security checks.
All
Background
right.
checks have not been completed. Somewhere there's a red flag going off, and I'm not saying this person is a criminal or they've done anything wrong, but maybe there is someone with a similar name who's got a criminal background, and so which is why they are concerned. They're going through more detailed security clearances. Those are the two issues that we generally see.
All right. So, Uma, I would like to ask that if someone changes their employment or visa type, then can that affect their 221G case?
Well, if they're no longer in that visa category, let's say they applied for H1 before, now they're applying for L1. So it's a totally different application. So they have to withdraw the H1 and go file for an application for an L1B visa.
All right. Okay. So, Uma, I would also like to ask that what are the chances of getting a visa approved after receiving a 221G refusal?
Sorry,
I
would
would
you
like to
repeat that?
ask, yeah, sure. I mean, what are the chances of getting a visa approved after receiving a 221G refusal?
As I said, it's not a final determination, it's only a temporary refusal, hold, or ineligibility.
Yeah.
So sometimes people get it in weeks, sometimes people get it in months, sometimes it takes years. It's all an individual situation.
All right. Okay, so next up we have a few more viewers' question that we have received is Sridhar Reddy, and we have received from YouTube. So Uma Sridhar is actually asking that my wife's, who is a military spouse visa, was refused from November 29 to January 15. I didn't know why on January 15th I sent email directly to NVC to expedite the process. Guess what? On January 16th, the case status moved from refused to AP, and the 18th, her IR1 visa was issued to her. She was only at AP for 2 days.
Well, military spouses are different, they get a totally different status.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything the military spouses do get an expedited review of the cases. So they fall into a totally different category as opposed to any normal person.
Of course, of course.
because they are the military spouses. So, congratulations that she got her immigrant visa approved.
All right. So thank you so much, Sridhar, for your participation and also mention any topic or any other query that you want to be taken up. We are definitely going to take up not only this session but in upcoming sessions as well. So, Uma, I would like to ask that is there a universal meaning to the colored slip things, or do they vary by country or US consulate?
Generally, not. They all mean the same, whether it's India, whether it's Bangladesh, whether it's Nepal, whether it's Sri
Oh,
Lanka or Dubai, or yeah, no, pretty much the same.
all right, that's good. So next up, we are going to take the question that we have received is from. Okay, let's ask this question. So, Ma, can you explain the difference between receiving a 221G for administrative processing and for missing document?
But that is, a blue slip where
Yeah.
they're asking for more documents. That is the 221G blue slip.
Okay. All right. So let's again come back to our viewers' question, and this I think this would be the last question that we are taking up today. So Uma, can you answer that? Arpita is asking that. Hi Uma, awesome discussion. Thank you so much, Arpita. I would like to know after the U.S. immigration interview, now being stuck in questionnaire 221 GAP, if I move to Budapest on study permit long term study with the resident permit, can I transfer my US immigration case Dhaka, Bangladesh to Budapest, US Embassy, Hungary?
Yes, you can if you can prove to them that you're going to be there for a long time, not just a short study or a short stay. And if you write a letter or an email to the NBC, and if they are convinced, then they will move your case to Budapest.
Of course. All right, so I think now we have almost covered almost an hour in our insightful discussion, and now it's time to wrap up our today's session. So, folks, I would just like to say that as we have seen that getting 221G can feel like a roadblock, but of course, I think after the session now you're getting it's not the end of your visa journey. So it can be frustrating, but I think patience and staying proactive are key. So make sure that you have submitted everything they need and could also speed up the process. So, Uma, before wrapping up our today's session, any last message that you would like to give to our viewers?
Well, just make sure you, if it's an employment based, you and your employer are providing all the required documentation for your employment based visas, as well as if you're doing a B2, an F1. Make sure you go through the checklist that the consulates, each consulate has a checklist, and follow that, or write to them, to the contractors, to find out if you need more information. And if not, before submitting, check with an attorney. Hey, what are the documents I need to submit? Am I submitting the right documents, or do I need something more to prove my case? So I would reach out prior to submitting the documents.
Definitely, definitely. And to viewers, I would like to say that, it was really good having, I mean, the people, those who were participating, it was really good. And also, lastly, I would like to say that thank you so much, Uma, for this amazing session. I mean, your insights were very good. And also to our lovely audience who participated and watched this session. So, guys, if you found this session helpful, then make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notification, and also share this episode with anyone who might need it. And also, we would be glad if you could join our Facebook group where we are discussing about the real cases and giving practical advice on navigating the visa process. So, I would like to say that finally we are done with our today's session. Thank you so much, everyone. It was great having you all. See you next week with more insights, more topics. And I'm Sam signing off for now. Stay tuned and stay informed.
Have a good week. Thank you, Sam.
Same here. Thank you so much.